This latest newscast featuring CAIR is remarkable for a number of reasons. To begin with, it is the second attack by CAIR this month, making it the 26th of the year, and it marks the first time CAIR has received any sort of criticism on TV in almost 6 years. Let's watch this historic broadcast news segment.
A mosque will open in Troy, but it's still in the middle of a massive legal battle. At first, there was a fight between the mosque and the city of Troy over whether the house of worship could even open.
Now there's a fight over the money owed to the mosque. Grant Herm's in Troy tonight on Rochester Road near Waddles. And Grant, this has been years of fighting over this.
Jason, Karen, it started back in 2018, and we're talking almost 5 years actually at this point, when the community leaders here bought this building for the mosque and community center. Doors open tomorrow, but this legal fight is far from over.
Back in March, a federal judge ordering the city of Troy and the leaders of the Adam Community Center to come to an agreement after the city's zoning laws were found to be in violation of federal law, and the mosque suing for damages, saying the zoning law cost the mosque funding.
The city of Troy has acted egregiously since 2018 with regards to this case.
The Council on American Islamic Relations Michigan is representing the mosque.
The money that we're asking for is not excessive. It's very much in line with settlements that are very recent for the same issues in other cities in the state of Michigan. We're also asking for actual damages.
In all, the community center is asking for $1.9 million, citing those other cases in Sterling Heights and Pittsfield Township, where settlements were reached for $1.5 and $1.75 million. But Troy Mayor Ethan Baker says the city won't agree if the price tag is over $1 million.
Certainly we're not even considering settlement so long as they're demanding well over $1 million in damages. Frankly, there's 7 of us on council. That's not just one of our decisions to make. We have a difficulty sharing what's happening behind closed doors in legal settlement discussions and posturing, and the other side has been very free with what they've said, and we just can't do that. We're restricted by statute.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, that tiny little statement, that reference to CAIR, is the most criticism they have ever received on TV in almost 6 years. And it's also quite true. Anytime CAIR brings suit in court, they will try their case on TV if the stations will let them, and they almost always do. CAIR representatives did it against Alaska Airlines this year.
Of violating their civil rights when they were kicked off a flight for texting in Arabic. The Council on American Islamic Relations says this incident is another egregious example of flying while Muslim.
In a statement to King 5, Alaska said it, quote, strictly prohibits unlawful discrimination and that they take such complaints very seriously. The airline added it could not comment further on the lawsuit.
And they did it against McDonald's when the restaurant served a Muslim family bacon.
Intentionally put bacon on a fish sandwich that a Muslim woman had ordered for one of her children. Followers of Islam are not supposed to eat pork products.
The Council on American Islamic Relations announced that it had filed a discrimination complaint on the woman's behalf with the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination.
Complaint alleges that McDonald's employees added the unwanted bacon intentionally in an effort to offend and humiliate the woman. So far, McDonald's has not commented on that incident.
Whenever TV stations give CAIR an opportunity to interfere publicly with an ongoing investigation, CAIR will seize it. They did it with the 4 officers who restrained George Floyd. Before the trial had even begun, Jailani Hussein started rabble-rousing against the officers who were standing trial.
One officer did not kill George Floyd. This was a gang of officers who publicly on Facebook lynched George Floyd for nearly 10 minutes.
CAIR leaders say this trial could show other law enforcement officers that they are not above the law, and it hopes that it leads to changes in the justice system.
They did it with the Henry Ford College professor who was accused of Islamophobia. While the school was investigating exactly what happened, CAIR got on TV to try their case in public.
Student was allegedly humiliated on a college campus.
Just before Mr. Jaber, instead, in front of his fellow students, times where there have been FBI involvement for anonymous tips sent to the FBI by somebody who has no information about any illegal acting, someone like Mr. Jaber, to law enforcement involvement because he's a student and he happens to enjoy tourism in Lebanon is reprehensible.
The attorney claims witnesses can back up these statements.
So what's happening with that business professor during this investigation? Is he still teaching?
He is still on campus, and that's part of the problem, and that's why he doesn't feel safe.
You want to see the professor gone?
I don't think that person has any place in academia.
They did it when Tamar Herman became the subject of a rumor on social media. Herman received so many threats that she sought police protection. While the school and the police were investigating, CAIR got on TV 4 times to call for the teacher to be fired, thus perpetuating the rumor and further endangering Ms. Thurman.
Even the governor of New Jersey is now weighing in, and he says he's deeply disturbed by these accusations and that he supports a full investigation into the matter. This morning, hundreds calling on a New Jersey school district to kick an elementary school teacher off the job for allegedly discriminating against a Muslim student. The New Jersey chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations comparing the alleged incident to harassment and assault.
The hijab is much like any other article of clothing for a Muslim woman. To remove that publicly can be very humiliating.
Growing outrage on social media after Olympic athlete Ibtihaj Muhammad shared Sumayya's allegation on her Facebook page. This is abuse. Schools should be a haven for all our kids to feel safe, welcome, and protected, no matter their faith. But an attorney who says he represents the teacher told New Jersey Advanced Media the allegations posted by the Olympic fencer are 100% untrue. The South Orange Maplewood School District, however, says it has launched its own investigation and that the district, quote, takes matters of discrimination extremely seriously.
Anyone that thinks it's okay to do this to a student clearly is not fit to be a teacher.
The New Jersey chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations also speaking out.
Having her being removed from the classroom is the bare minimum.
Now there is an investigation. CAIR-NJ, the Council on American Islamic Relations, a civil rights advocacy group for Muslims, is calling for the teacher's removal.
So the teacher not only put her hands on her, removed her headscarf, and this is, of course, humiliating for any Muslim woman to be exposed in this way.
The family now getting support from the community, demanding the school take action. The executive director for the Council on American Islamic Relations calling for the teacher to be fired.
And while the mayor of Minneapolis was struggling to answer questions about the shooting of Amir Locke, Jailani Hussein stormed the podium to rabble-rouse, even though he had nothing to do with any of it.
But we could do one question at a time. We do want to answer the questions, but I would also prefer just to one question at a time. To your question, I do not know.
Does the chief know? Can the chief answer that question?
Go ahead.
So yesterday, at the time that we were putting out the press release, we didn't have as much information as we have now, of course. And so it's unclear, it was certainly unclear yesterday, but it remains unclear if or how Mr. Locke is connected to St. Paul's investigation. And more information will be coming as St. Paul digs further into the case.
Why did you refer to him as a suspect in a press release if you didn't know?
That's all the time we have, everyone. Let's call it.
No.
Was anyone apprehended as part of this?
Also,
when will you release your search warrant?
How is walking out of a press conference transparency? You are a murderer!
You owe us answers. This is a shame. This is what we have been fighting against.
This is what we've been fighting against since George Floyd was killed. Running away from accountability and transparency. This is shame. Residents or people in Minneapolis need to know this cannot continue. They killed a young man who was sleeping. He did not even have a chance. And for a lot of the media already shared the one where he had the gun holding it. You know, if you are anybody who's a gun owner, that if your finger is out, you are preparing, but you are not ready to fire because you don't even know who's in front of you. This young man did not have a chance. This was Breonna Taylor in Minneapolis, and even worse.
CAIR knows TV newscasts are an effective weapon, and they will use this firepower to interfere in police investigations and criminal trials, have people fired, and promote themselves. And it's about time the viewing public witness their abuse of the media and demand balanced coverage of the Council on American Islamic Relations.
And the other side has been very free with what they've said, and we just can't do that. We're restricted by statute.